Hey guys, I'm Blessed Beats. Hope everyone is doing mighty fine. Last episode, we covered the philosophical standpoint of things, laying a foundation from which you can step into a creative mode, which you will need because today's video is about some more practical methods of finishing tracks. All these three methods are based on grabbing the inspiration, getting into a creative zone, and getting as much of it out there in one run. This is key for making the most out of your creative juice. Let's hop into it. The skeletal sweep, as I call it, is all about putting the structure of the composition at the center of attention and making a rough outline horizontally of the whole song. I'm gonna make a corny 90s song because it makes me happy. Now, the drums and any of the sounds really, don't get stuck on them. Just go with the first thing so we can keep building. Work out a chord progression. Most of the time I really just experiment my way there. Frankenstein it together. Now let's keep it moving. I'll just double this up. To make a slight variation, I'll change the last chords of the verse here. Move it in place. Now for the bridge. It's gonna be just a short bridge. That works. In this case, I'm not getting super complex with the chord progressions. We're actually going to steal the verse chord progression and we're going to use it in the hook as well. Let's color code these babies to keep better track of the sections. Ready to move on to the next track? Let's lay some bass down. Now with few means, we're going to set the chorus apart from the verse just by playing a different melody with the bass here. And voila, we have the outline for the entire song here. You can keep building with tracks. You can get into sound design and mixing, all of that stuff, which you should have completely avoided up until this point. If you get the idea of that, it's not going to be that hard to grasp the second method, which I call the stack and spread. So if the skeletal sweep is horizontal and you're working on a few tracks, this is the opposite. You're working vertically with a loop, 4 to 8 bars, and you're just stacking as many sounds as possible that you can possibly squeeze out of yourself to have a big set of puzzle pieces to work with when you put the arrangement together. Using the stack and spread method, you can spend a little bit more time on sound design and things of that nature. I wouldn't call this specifically sound design, but I am making the drum patterns from scratch, something I might have left for later if I was using the skeletal sweep method. Anything I got going on in my head right now, I'm just trying to pull it out. Then I just keep going in the same fashion. Now, just to get a melody going, I'm doing something very simple called a ostinato. In this case, a melodic repeating pattern. Helps trigger chords in your head. And here come the chords. Let's just keep building. More stuff, a melody doodle coming up. You don't want to get too stuck with sound design, but if there's some immediate ideas you get, go for it. Bass! Now let's tidy things up by changing the region color of some of these clips. Now I'm going to mute the original chords and go for another chord progression. Similar, but different. Now we can begin doubling stuff up. We're going to start with an intro, verse, chorus part, and then we're going to double that part again. So let's make an intro here. Starting to sound more like an intro. And now let's just work subtractively and remove the sounds that we don't want in the verse. This is a part where you can experiment, mute and unmute some sounds and see what you like better. This part I'm going to grab and make a copy of because this is probably going to be the chorus. Now keep duplicating and subtracting things. Try out different combinations. If we were to make a song in a genre that's less repetitive than, say, hip hop is in general, I would also remove chunks of chord progressions and build new chord progressions that bridge together different segments. We're kind of just sculpting at this point. Now, for the cherry on top, just add some transitions and some special effects, and you're good to go. Last method we're talking about today is for the somewhat more seasoned and creatively disciplined music producer. It's high risk and high reward. If you imagine the skeletal sweep being horizontal, the stack and spread being vertical, the start to finish method is zigzag pattern, if you will. You're working in complete sections one by one. Intro, verse, bridge, chorus, for example. And you finish each one of those sections before you proceed to the next one. Now, why this is high risk is because you might run out of creative juice if you don't work fast enough. But let's take a look at it. I must admit I did not have a third song in me today, so this one is pre-baked. But as I said, it's a combination of the first and second method, so you can linger in each section until you're completely happy with it. Still try to be snappy and don't get caught up in any details too minor. The advantages of working in this way is, one, you'll get as close to a finished song in one run as possible, and two, you'll be able to hear the natural progression of the song much easier. Now at this point, for example, I'd probably loop back the intro and the verse for the next section to come to me naturally. But any type of instrumentation that fits the theme and pops up in your head, go ahead and add it. And eventually, looky here, we have an entire song. Really hope those mental frameworks will help you get unstuck in the future. Keep those at the back of mind. Check out the blog post that we made about this if you want to get a little bit more in depth on each of these topics. Next video, don't miss it, we'll be covering getting past the finish line. When you're just about 90% done with a track and you're not really sure how to take it past the finish line. Until then, bye-bye.